Are you ready finally to stop paying your landlord mortgage and start building your own equity right now in Greenville, North Carolina?
Look, I understand the thought of buying a home can be completely overwhelming. You see those headline the news, rising prices, bidding wars. Oh, everybody's losing their job to AI. There's all this uncertainty where you say, is it even possible for me right now? Because that's a lot of fear.
And what if I told you that right now the median listing price in Greenville, North Carolina is only about $286,500. This is not just a number. This is really an opportunity. And today video, we are giving you the exact step-by-step blueprint to navigate your way in Greenville, North Carolina housing market and land your first home.
Okay, so let's talk about the statistics and really what is going to make or break the deal. So first, welcome if you're thinking of coming to North Carolina. I can't wait to talk to you in person. That sounds amazing. It is the vibrant seat of Pitt County, North Carolina. It is the heart of Eastern North Carolina. It is the home to ECU, East Carolina University. We have the major medical center of ECU Health, and that economy is continuing to grow every single year. I mean, Mr. Beast is located right here in the Greenville area. This way you're blending education, cultural opportunity, and this is an incredible place to invest in your real estate. So let's just talk about those numbers.
Exactly. Therefore, we talk about the more or less the Greenville, North Carolina right now is balanced market, and it's not just we are not in that hyper sellers market that we saw before, even during the COVID. And as we said, the median listing price in Greenville, North Carolina is around $286,500. You see in the different website, different numbers, but that's what we see in our
at the filming
as a filming of the video. And here is what it gets interesting. The median sold price recently ranged between $241,000 to $276,000, and that tells you this spread. That is very important. If you have the right strategy, these are absolutely happening. And your path to ownership starts with knowing all this information that we're going to present it to you.
Now let's talk about that entire piece of the puzzle. You could go to Zillow and click the button and get stuck in what could potentially be a scam. And I was reading about RICO violations. I wouldn't even try to go into that right now. But you want to find out, clicking the button does not necessarily get you the best person who's going to help you with this process. Make sure especially if you're a first-time home buyer or you're relocating, you need someone you can trust on your side. And maybe you think I can just figure it out on my own. I can just go to the builder and figure it out on my own. But the dynamics in Greenville are not necessarily going to be what you are used to in another area. So your agent is your advocate, your negotiator, your protector in many ways. And we don't just open the doors for you. We make sure that you're getting everything that you possibly want and getting you the best deals possible.
Exactly.
You want to talk to me more?
Therefore, we are really your essential partner. And one of the biggest question that the first-time home buyer has always is about money and budget. And you're in the right place. We'll walk you through the general budget planning and common programs like what the popular one is for the down payment assistance that we have in North Carolina or for closing. There are lots of programs that can help you with those monies that you have in the mind and might prevent you even thinking about owning your first home.
And if you're paying under $2,000 or more in whatever area you're in, we could get you almost, if you're intending to live in the home, we're talking about, you could probably get some of them for no money down and a decent interest rate. So the bottom line is simple. We pay attention to all the deals out there because you need to know, we know Greenville and Winterville inside out, and we don't want you flying blind into all of this. So let's talk about those protections that you kind of need.
Exactly. Therefore, 5 essential protection that we wanted to talk. And so you finally find that home that you love, and what does a real estate agent actually do for you?
Number one, before we even get to inspections, number one is inspection, but before we even talk to the inspection, we are not builders, we are not complete experts, but we walk into a house, and before you even put an offer on that house, we're going to look at things that you might not be looking at. You might be looking at, how pretty the kitchen is, but I'm looking at the windows. And if those are wood, I'm looking at the ceiling and saying, oh, there could be mold up there. I'm looking for things so you do not walk into a mess. Now, that's just besides the point. Now, talk to me.
Exactly. And then when you love that home, of course, you're going to ask us to write a offer for you. And let's assume that your offer is accepted. Congratulations. Now, what we are really, as we said, my wife, is important is doing your due diligence of inspecting property, because in the state of North Carolina is a state of the home seller actually friendly, means they protect more home sellers than the home buyers. Therefore, that's why this is our duty to make sure that we discover everything about that house that you already love, and you put that offer and your offer accepted.
Now, I told you we're walking that house, and I've seen it happen where we walked into this house and we knew that the HVAC was a problem. So we talked about how that could be a red flag. And by putting it in the disclosure, by talking about these things and putting it into the paperwork, you're getting somebody who, an inexperienced buyer or somebody who might not be paying attention to something, the last thing you want to do is see paper go bad. And I honestly, when I was representing the seller in a recent one, I had to rewrite the contract a couple of times because the paperwork is incorrect. And that's actually number 3. You want to make sure all the paperwork is, and this one too, you want to make sure all the paperwork is correct, all the disclosures are correct, because the last thing you want to do is come back later and say nobody had the paperwork correctly. So I kind of had to educate my buyer agent in that situation on why they were doing things wrong, which isn't always a true thing. Number 3, we've had this problem, so let's talk about why we don't do that.
Signing your final walkthrough. And I wanted to mention before that I forgot to tell you also about the due diligence, because we talk about the inspection and we have a due diligence period, meaning you already paid that due diligence in your offer. And it doesn't matter that when they cashed it, it's going to deposit directly to the seller's account. And it doesn't matter what happens due to inspection or due to a family situation, a status, whatever it is, you are not going to get that money back. Therefore, we need to be very careful and diligence.
And that's why we look for things before you walk.
Exactly. Therefore, that's why we need to do everything that we can do in our power to protect you before you go under the contract.
The next one we're going to talk about is the only contract I've ever missed was my mother, and which is funny. She was here to babysit because I had something else. But basically, we attend everybody's paperwork. We have to make sure everything is signed. The contracts are there. We show up at that closing because we want to make sure you understand everything. The lawyers explained everything to you. And if there is a problem, we're there to help you solve the problem so you are not stuck like us. When our former real estate agents went fishing, they were more there for the money and they weren't really there to solve our problems when we had a problem. So we want to make sure that we are there to problem solve for you, which is why we also, before you even get to the closing table, we read the CD.
Exactly. Therefore, that closing disclosure is very important. First of all, you wanted to make sure whatever the lender promised you, they're going to deliver you. And then, of course, real estate attorney goes also double check those numbers and then communicate back with the lenders. And we can also check those numbers to make sure this is what it is.
We have found mistakes. We've seen extra fees in there that aren't supposed to be there. We've seen it happen. So you want to make sure all that money is there. And then, of course, we are going to coordinate getting you those keys. The moment the house actually becomes yours, hopefully it's the same second of there, but sometimes it can take longer depending on what is happening. But we make sure that you are going to be able to get into your house as soon as possible. Because, again, I remember when I was stuck, and we bought a house, and I had to go drive around Target, and my kids were very little, and they were whiny, and I didn't have any place for them to sit down other than our car. It was a disaster for 5 hours, and I would never want that on anybody. So
and now you have the knowledge, and buying your first home, as we said, is a major life-changing milestone, and we know that you are on this thread. That's why me and my wife, Alan Victoria Pinder, we are here to handhold you from the beginning to the start till you get those beautiful keys in your house. And that's why you need to make sure that also you go into the description below, making sure that you grab our...
and if you're relocating, we've relocated a couple times. So down on the guide below, in the description below, is our guide, because we want to make sure we treat you right, because we have been treated not right, and we don't ever want to do that to you. We pass on what we want for others, and that's why we're here for you.
Exactly. Therefore, don't forget also to subscribe and leave us a comment.
Especially about what you're excited about in your home when you finally get it. Are you looking for the Grand Canyon? What is it? Put in the comment.
Exactly. And don't forget to watch all of our playlists. And we are here for you. Alan Victoria Pinder, real estate agent in Greenville, North Carolina.